What's good, everybody? It's your host, Juice, and this is Cognac Conversations, where the guests are organic, the dialogue is authentic, and the drinks are simply my favorite. And I want to introduce my guest for today, none other than the man himself, the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. James Barker. What's up, brother?
Yeah, not much, man. You all right?
Yes, sir.
Good to see you,
yes,
man.
Sir.
I appreciate you for having me.
Yeah, man. I'm glad that we could have you on the show. We had to roll it out for you. We got our fancy glasses out today, so we can go ahead and take a sip of this little drink. We're gonna let the people know what the drink is after the season is over with, but taste it. Let us know what it tastes like. Give us some feedback.
So you don't want me to guess what it is?
Nah, don't guess what it is.
It looked familiar.
You're right, exactly.
Put your foot in that.
Yeah.
Nah, that's very good.
Yeah, our bartender do take tips. We're gonna get her a whole tip jar going on. We're gonna get that going.
That's what's up.
But I'm glad I could get you on the show today, man. We've talked about this for a while, so I want to jump right into it. My first question for you is, who is James Barker?
Yeah, man. So if I had to just, make it quick, just a guy in Dallas is like what I like to say recently. So a lot of you guys know me, so I'm a local realtor here in the DFW for the last 4.5 years. Also, local promoter, throwing some of the big events in the city. But just tell y'all a little bit about my journey. I moved here about nearly 9 years ago. I moved here from Arkansas right after college to, start my professional journey here in tech sales. Since then, I've kind of transitioned into, some other sales roles. I worked in the car business for a while, worked in real estate, worked for a marketing company for a little while. And now I'm just, for the last 3.5 years, I've just been solely focused on my entrepreneurship journey in real estate and, in the promo world.
Okay, so I want to back up a little bit, right? Because you said something that sparked my attention that I didn't know. So tech sales, what did you do in tech sales? Like, what were you selling?
Yes, when I moved here, I was working for Hewlett Packard. A lot of you guys know them as HP.
Yeah.
So they had two sectors. I was doing hardware sales, so that was like service storage, networking stuff. Right. And they had they kind of had the software side.
Okay.
So I did that for roughly 2 years before transitioning into a new role. Some of the great best experience I've received on the job. But it was time to make a transition into something that kind of gave me a little bit more of my time back.
Yeah, okay, all right. And then, of course, I already knew you was from Arkansas. I mean, we took over Dallas. We appreciate y'all for letting us take over y'all city. But tell me about that journey, right? Like, what pushed you to say, man, I'm bigger than Arkansas right now? And that's no shot at the home state, because I have my own opinion on it as well, but I want to hear from you. Like, what made you say it was time to go?
So I'm going to be honest, man. I grew up in a very small town, not too far from where, you grew up, Tori grew up.
Right.
A place called Cotton Plain, Arkansas. I lived there from when I was born till I was about 13. So as far back as I can remember, maybe when I was like 7 or 8, I was like, man, as soon as I graduate high school, I'm moving to a big city. And a big city for me at that time was New York.
Right.
I had some family out there, like my grandma, my uncles. I had never been, but I had seen it on the movies. Yeah, my grandma in Long Island, man. You ever heard of Amityville Horror?
Yeah,
like the scary movie?
Yeah.
That's where she lives.
Oh, for real? Oh, okay, bet.
That's my dad's mom. But ever since I was like a young kid, man, I was constantly telling my family members that lived in St. Louis, Chicago, New York. When I grow up, man, I'm moving to New York and I want to live in Manhattan.
Right. That's hard. So, all right, that whole thing right there describes who James Barker is, like, to me now. Like, a lot of things click for me that as a kid you wanted to grow up and live in Manhattan, right? Like, you the guy that be in the club with the suits on. Like, that's some Manhattan shit. That's the business. So you always had that business mind. So that right there is a bunch of clarity for me. So I like that. That's, and that's the thing that I do like about this is, we work together. We've been together every day for the past 4 years, just about. Yeah. And I didn't know that part about you. So now you come sit on the couch with me, and that's what we find out. So that's cool. You know what I mean? So let's talk about, my next question for you is, like, what's your motivation? But I kind of know what your motivation is, because you've told me, like, hey, ever since I was 7, 8 years old, this is what I want to do. So what I want to know is, like, how did that transpire from a kid, right, the youth, to your adult years, to be motivated to move to the big city? And then even when you got here, you made a name for yourself. You put your feet in the mud and you stayed here. So, like, what's your motivation to keep going and to thrive in the city?
I'm gonna be honest, man. For me, kind of always been the same. Even back when I was 7, 8, I always kind of been a hustler, so I always kind of worked hard. One of my first businesses was like picking pecans and selling those. How I bought my first little Carmelo jersey.
Right.
His rookie year. Man, I cut yards. So ever since I can remember, I had some type of like, in my mind, small business as a kid.
Right.
At one point, I was a really good artist, so I was selling my art to kids. You know, they wanted to color stuff in. So I kind of always had that entrepreneurship spirit. And then turned 16, old enough to actually get a job. First job was in sales, so that actually, you know, that's where my sales journey started.
Right.
And then around that same time, I happened to job shadow for a school project, a real estate agent.
Yeah.
And it's weird, man, because up until that point, I wanted to be a sports agent.
Right.
And then job shadow, real estate agent, loved what I saw, him helping people, especially like, you know, people that didn't understand like real estate at all.
Yeah.
So go leave for the summer, come back, and I'm like, man, I wrote in my scrapbook, you know what? I think when I grow up, I want to be a real estate agent. So
this ain't something that, you know, and no offense to anybody that has gotten into real estate, but, you know, people see we in Dallas, Texas, everything is booming, and, yo, I'm finna go get in real estate and run my bag up. Like, you literally are living your childhood dreams or your adolescent dreams of saying, hey, this is what I was gonna do.
Yeah, I am.
Nah, that's hard, bro.
I still got the scrapbook.
Yeah, hey, that's even hard. Like, I want to see the scrapbook, bro. Nah, man, I didn't know that, right? Like, I didn't know that. And so, like I said, I appreciate you for coming on the show because now we finding it out. So, like, we're gonna get into it. So, let's talk about James Barker, the real estate agent. So, you know, real estate is a big thing. You know, I'm personally looking to put myself in a position to buy a home. So. And I want my dream home this time, right? You know, I had several homes, but I want my dream home. So, you know, for me, for anybody out there listening that's willing to pay attention, that's either in DTX or thinking about coming to the area or any big city, like, tell us what we should be doing today to prepare us to buy that home that we want, that home that we need. Give us a little game.
To be honest, man, the easiest thing I could say is, man, this is always like my first step. First off, man, just figure out what your why is on why you want to buy a home, because it's not the same for everybody.
Figure out your why.
Some people want to get into it. They want to get directly into it as an investment property. Some people want to buy it because they got a family or it's because they believe in like just the home ownership. That home ownership is like, you know, part of the American dream. Yeah. So I say figure that part out first. And then, you know, something that I've noticed, especially, you know, with our people is that it's almost like we're afraid to like be vulnerable. So I say put yourself out there and actually talk to a professional, whether that's a real estate agent or whether you're just talking to a lender, just kind of figure out what your financial situation looks like. Because they're gonna ultimately, the lender's gonna be able to like set you up for optimum success, but the real estate agent's gonna be able to kind of guide you and make sure you know staying on the right path, right?
Yeah. So you know, let's talk about that vulnerability, because you ain't lying, bro. Like you know, we talk about it in our group messages with each other. We talk about like, you know, as a whole, getting our finances together, putting ourselves in positions to buy the home, to have the credit score. But vulnerability is a big thing, you know what I mean? And I'm gonna be honest with you, bro, if I've gotten older, one of the biggest things for me is I'm teaching myself how to be more vulnerable in every aspect of my life. Right. You know what I mean? Personal, physical, finances, emotionally. So, you know, how did you, right? Even though as a real estate agent or there, you have to have some type of vulnerability for yourself. Like, has that ever been a struggle for you?
Me being vulnerable?
Yeah.
Nah, man, you know me. You know I'm a talker.
Right. But I do know you. But I want the listeners to know.
So I'm pretty open, man, because I'm also one of those people where I'm just like, you know, I can't. I guess nobody can help you if they don't know what your struggle is. Right. That's true. You know what I'm saying? So if I never talk about what I got going on, because like my friends will tell you, man, I sit down with people probably 2 or 3 times a week just over coffee. Right. And if they ask me anything, whether it's about like my finances, whether it's maybe it might be like, you know, why haven't you bought a house yet? Right. I always got an answer for them, and it's the truth, right? Because I'm not afraid to like just kind of put myself out there and tell my story because it might motivate somebody else. Right. So, nah, that's real, man. Like, and I appreciate that, bro. Like that's big, because vulnerability is a big thing, and transparency, like all of that has to happen when it comes to buying a home. Like, you know, I remember hearing like older people like, nah, I don't want to buy a house because of this, because of that. And a lot of that was fear, bro. Yeah, so let's go deeper into that, right? Like, and that's what I've noticed with like a lot of like first-time home buyers and why they didn't buy a home sooner. They were kind of scared to like go out there and get the information, but also to be vulnerable and let people into like their personal lives, right? Because if I ask the question on my story right now, like what's the number one reason why most people don't own a home? Some people might say credit. Some people might say down payment and things like that. And it's just like me, you know, being in the industry, a lot of people, man, they think you need a 700 to buy a house.
Yeah.
I've helped somebody buy a house at a 580, right?
Right.
A lot of people be like, oh man, I think I need 20% of $400,000 to buy a house.
Right.
Most people ain't got that.
Right.
And it's not even like the norm. It's not really the standard, right?
Yeah.
I just did a conventional at 3%. So it's just like you don't really know what's available to you if you don't ask.
Yep.
Hell, I've helped somebody buy a house with nothing now.
Yeah.
Like no money to the table, right?
Yeah. And
that's what I mean by being vulnerable in this industry is you just gotta talk to somebody and don't necessarily talk to just your friends or listen to Google. Go talk to a professional. Yeah.
And so that's big. That's big. And I appreciate that because trust is a big thing, right? And the preface of this show is organic and authentic.
Right.
And I appreciate that you coming on and saying like, hey, you got to be vulnerable and you got to trust, right? Like go talk to a professional. Don't let it be your friend because, you know, we all have those friendships where you my friend, but I don't really want to tell you my business because when you get mad at me, you might tell my business. So, no, I appreciate that. But so what services does J. Barker Realty offer?
Man, so I kind of do it all, man. I do, you know, I help people buy primarily. I'd say like, I have to break down like kind of my workload. I'm probably 70% buyers, probably another 20% leases and 10% helping people sell their homes.
Yeah.
Right now I got a good balance. Like I just helped somebody buy last week. just did a lease listing and I'm actually just got an offer on my spot yesterday on my listing or whatever. So I kind of do it all, man. I'm slowly breaking into like that commercial space.
Yeah.
I got 2 commercial clients right now, so. You know, we're kind of learning together, and that's kind of where that trust comes in too.
Yeah.
You know, these people are coming to me versus somebody else. For one, I think they love me. Second off, like they trust me to take care of them, right?
Nah, that's hard. That's hard. You know, I sent a few people your way. Like anytime somebody coming from Arkansas and they talking about coming to Texas, I'm like, hey, yo, I'm sending them your pages. Like, hey, hit my dog up. He'll take care of you because I do trust that you're going to take care of them. So
I think that goes back into like kind of my who am I, right? I think I get a lot of referrals and stuff like that, and people like you that'll support my business and send their friends and family that way because I think I showed them that, you know, overall, you know, I'm a good guy.
Right.
And I'm a trustworthy guy.
Yeah. Nah,
you know what I mean?
I can say that. I can say that for sure. So one thing that I do want to do is I want to talk to you about principles that you live by. So give us a few principles that you live by, and if you normally I say tell those principles to the 15-year-old you. But I think the 15-year-old you and the present day you is the same guy because you had the same dream. So give our listeners some principles that you live by and something that may help them.
Man, one of the big principles for me is just, man, helping others.
Right.
You know, and that's another reason why I went into real estate. It gives me the opportunity to like not only like, you know, help myself because, you know, I can kind of dictate my income.
Yeah.
But it gives me the opportunity to help, you know, other people like myself that may not, didn't grow up with their family owning a house or like may not understand the process, may have not understood the process at one point. So it gives me the opportunity to help them change their financial circumstances through real estate.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Because like, you know, like I'm sure you know this, having bought several houses, that real estate is the biggest transaction most people ever make, but it's also the transaction that can change your financial situation. And put you, you know, in a better position.
I gotta be honest, bro. Originally I didn't understand it, but real estate is a business. It's a business like that could, like you said, you know, and I wish I would have bought a home in Dallas, Texas before COVID.
Yeah, me too.
That's the easiest way I would say it. I wish I would have bought a home before COVID. And so, you know, we had you fill out the form. So I'm gonna kind of go through the principles with you that you filled out on the form, and the next thing that you talked about is being grateful.
And so I'm grateful every day I wake up, man. Because I don't know if you know this too. It kind of ties back into me wanting to live in the city. You know, I've been downtown since probably 6 years now.
Yeah.
But it's also because that's the vision I saw in my head.
Right.
It's not when I was a kid. It's not New York.
Yeah.
But it's still like compared to where I came from.
Yeah, come on now.
It's like, man, I still wake up in amazement every day looking out my windows, right? So I'm grateful for that, man. I'm grateful that I'm really grateful that I'm able to like put other people in a position to make some money too, right?
Yeah, that's hard.
So,
that's hard.
You know, honestly, man, I have my days where I'm just kind of down after I had a long weekend. I beat myself up a little bit, but for the most part, man, I kind of wake up just like, man, it could always be worse.
Yeah.
Because I've experienced worse. I experienced worse for so long, right?
Yeah. No, I feel you. And so, you talked about staying hungry, which is obvious. You're a hustler. You got multiple businesses going. But the next principle that I want to talk about is avoiding negativity and forgiving yourself. The next two.
I don't know, man. I feel like, I feel like it's even gotten worse since COVID. I just feel like people are just in a negative state. You know what I'm saying? That
A lot of them broke.
For me, that too, man. Shit, I'm broke. What I'm saying is, like, let's just say, for me, negativity is more infectious than positivity.
True.
So I just try to keep it away from around me, man, because when I'm negative or feeling negative about something, that affects like my whole day.
Yeah.
And if my whole day is affected, then I'm not able to really service my clients, but I'm also I'm completely like unproductive.
Yeah, man.
So I try to control who's around me, and I try to control the environments that I put myself in, because I know that I'll let things like that rub off on me.
Yeah. No, I've been there before too, man. And sometimes, full transparency, I'll allow things to drive me negative. But sometimes what I'm working on and try to be more better at is, there's a line, and sometimes you're gonna dip below that line. And I actually learned this in a work meeting 7 years ago. You got to pull yourself back above that line, or you got to have people around you to pull you above the line. So, we work in nightlife, and I don't really want to touch on it, but there are times where things don't go the way we wanted to, and I ain't gonna lie, I'll let it drive me negative. Like, bro, this is bullshit.
Hey, look, I've been there too.
I know, but I'm gonna tell you like the things that you probably don't understand, right? When we talking in the group, we're talking about a situation or scenario. Even if I'm the person that's like giving you feedback, dialoguing, playing the devil's advocate, I look at how everybody on our team responds, and I allow that to pull me back up, because it's like, you know what, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. Like, and that's just one scenario, but I also use that in my everyday life, in work and things like that. Like, it's times I'll be having the worst day, and then I go to our group message, and our group messages be wild. So, but I'll allow, like, hey, everybody having good energy, I'll allow that to pull me back up. So now I think you're absolutely right, and I do see you do it a lot.
And you know what else you gotta do is too, man, you gotta give yourself a couple of key affirmations, right? Like for me, my big ones is like, all right, it's temporary.
Yeah.
That shit temporary.
Yeah.
Or it's trivial, it ain't gonna matter tomorrow. It will matter tomorrow, right? Mm-hmm. And then, I also, like, I think about, like, how does this change, like, my long-term and end goal?
Yeah.
If I let this affect me, this much now, like, how can it detour me? Right, and then that just kind of helps me get back on track. Plus, I'm just like, man, I'm big on just like, if I got an issue, I'm more solution oriented.
Yeah.
So if I got a problem, like my mind is like not even necessarily thinking about the problem. I'm thinking about how to fix it, right? Because the faster I fix it, the faster it goes away.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where my mind be at most of the time.
Yeah, okay. And then let's talk a little bit about forgiving yourself. So forgiveness is a big thing. It's something that I always say. And I don't say forgive yourself. I always say give yourself some grace. But what is forgiving yourself? Like, what does that mean to you?
I think for me, man, it's just realizing that, like, I'm gonna make a lot of mistakes. And like, you around me a lot, right?
Yeah.
You got guys like, let's use some of the guys, next Tory, for example. They've been around me for,
Yeah, right.
12, 13, 14, 15 years, right?
Yeah.
Like, I do a lot of stuff sometimes, and I'm just like, I'm kind of all over the place.
Yeah.
Just also wild, whatever. And then I have to wake up on Monday and be like, man, damn, can't believe I did that. So like, what may be like, let's just say what may be like funny to like you, right? Or maybe entertaining to you. When I wake up on Monday or Tuesday, I'm just like, nah, I tweaked. I probably shouldn't have did that.
Yeah.
But then I had to learn. Then even talking to like you or talking to like Tori, it was just like, man, stuff happened, man. Like,
we do. We live a life,
keep moving forward, right?
We live a life.
So I think that's what I mean, big on like just forgiving myself, and then I like to think I'm big on like just like maintaining and building relationships.
Yeah.
And I've lost maybe a couple of relationships in the past, but I'm just like, maybe it was something I did, maybe it was something I didn't do.
Right.
And I just like, all right, I gotta stand on this, right? But it's just like, if I did it, I still gotta forgive myself at some point, even if they don't.
Yeah. No, that's real. And then, so I want to talk about the relationships, and then we can get up out of here. But I want to tell you something that you may not know. How I move with Brandon Cognac Conversations is a lot for me watching you.
Yeah.
I watched you build your team, right? I watched you build IMG. So what I always tell you, James Barker always say, in order to be out and meet people, you got to be seen. I always say that in the group. So like, James, I learned that from you. Like, you got to bounce around. So that was one of the things. I know. That was one of the things that I learned in 2020, because I'm like, bro, like when I first started coming out, I'm like, damn, we at level. And then everybody like, let's go to Sidebar. And we was walking to Sidebar, like, bro, we walking to another club. That's crazy. That's wild to me. You know what I mean? But what I realized was being out, you build a bunch of relationships, right? And so when I first decided to launch this thing, that's what I did. I had to be out. I had to be seen, right? I had to go to different spots that I normally wouldn't go to. And so, I just want to give you your flowers for that to say, bro, like, and I tell you this in the group, but I want to say it in front of the camera so that people can hear it. But I appreciate you for that, bro, because like that's what helped me build up Cognac Conversations for what it is today. So I appreciate that. And I want to tell you that I appreciate you for coming on the show. I look forward to the people being able to see this. And yeah, man, much appreciation, much gratitude on my end. Anything you got before we get out of here?
Nah, man. I just want y'all to know that, man. I love, and I practice and learn real estate. It's very near and dear to my heart. So if y'all ever need me as a resource, feel free to reach out. Don't have to use me as your agent. I'd like you to, but you don't have to do that. But like, if you just have a question about the process or like, where to get started, feel free to, reach out to me on one of my socials. Gladly help.
Yeah. So one of the things that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna reach out to you. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna reach out. So I'm gonna tell everybody, you know what I mean? Hey, reach out to my guy, James Walker. Like you said, if you got a question, hit him up. You know what I mean? Don't, be vulnerable, right? That's one of the biggest things that I'm gonna take away from today. Be vulnerable, reach out, seek and talk to a professional, and then most importantly, forgive yourself. And that's Cognac Conversations for today.
Yeah, man. Yeah, life is, shout.